In our headlines on this Tuesday afternoon, December 12th. President Yoon Suk-yeol is poised to visit Dutch tech firm ASML on this Tuesday and will become the first foreign leader to tour a clean room manufacturing facility there as he pledges to establish a chip alliance with the Netherlands. Over in the Middle East, Israeli forces are reiterating calls on Palestinian militants to surrender, claiming that Hamas is nearing its breaking point in northern Gaza as its remaining two strongholds have been surrounded. Also in the Middle East, the host of this year's Global Climate Summit, the UAE, is seeking a joint statement on climate action as curtains are set to go down on COP28 later on this Tuesday. We start in Amsterdam, where President Yoon Suk-yeol partook in a banquet Monday evening with the Korean community there and underscored the importance of chip collaboration between Korea and the Netherlands. Our senior presidential correspondent Oh Soo-young reports.
President Yoon Suk-yeol pledged to turn the Korean-Dutch chip cooperation into a semiconductor alliance through his state visit this week, as South Korea looks to secure its supply chain of chip-making parts and equipment. Speaking at a banquet for around 100 Korean expats in Amsterdam after his arrival, he stressed that the focus of his visit is primarily about chips. Semiconductors made up 18.9% of the trade-dependent country's exports as of last year.
이번 방문을 계기로 한국과 네덜란드의 반도체 협력은 이제 반도체 동맹으로 그 관계가 격상되게 될 것입니다. 반도체는 우리의 산업뿐만 아니라 안보에도 중요한 그런 분야입니다.
Yoon and King Willem-Alexander will visit the headquarters of ASML, the world's largest producer of lithographers, core equipment used for making semiconductors. The heads of major chip producers Samsung and SK Hynix Lee Jae-yong and Choi Tae-won will also join the visit. The South Korean president will become the first world leader to have access to the clean room facility, where he is likely to get a glimpse of extreme ultraviolet lithography machines capable of producing 2-nanometer chips, roughly 10 to 15 times faster than 3-nanometer chips, currently the most advanced on the market. This, according to senior officials, indicates positive signals for South Korea in procuring the latest equipment to further boost its chip-making capacity.
The performance of microchips determines the fate of not only AI, quantum and biotechnology, but also advanced weaponry. Although Korea is a global chip-making powerhouse, it falls short in terms of equipment and materials. In order to maintain and develop our reputation as a chip manufacturing powerhouse, it is crucial to forge strategic alliances with countries leading in materials and equipment, such as the Netherlands, the United States and Japan.
The leader is expected to agree on a variety of deals, including on semiconductor cooperation and a dedicated dialogue channel, following his bilateral talks with Prime Minister Mark Rutte on Wednesday at The Hague.
물론 한국과 네덜란드는 국방 안보와 같은 이런 전략적 분야부터 시작해서 경제, 문화 교류까지 또 첨단 과학기술 분야의 교류까지 다양한 분야의 그 지평이 확대되고 있고 이번 방문을 통해서 많은 또 이런 협정과 MOU들이 체결되면서 한내의 관계가 더욱 깊어질 것입니다.
Yoon's official engagements began on Tuesday, marking the first state visit for a South Korean leader to the country in 62 years of bilateral ties, which were upgraded to a strategic partnership last year.
The two-side strategic partnership will set out to bolster their security cooperation rooted in their solidarity of shared values and economic security cooperation based on their high-tech alliance. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Amsterdam.
And staying in Europe, the Vatican held a mass to celebrate 60 years of diplomatic relations with South Korea. The mass took place on Monday at the Archbasilica of St. John, Lateran. The Vatican Secretary of State presided over the mass, as it is the custom for the Pope to refrain from diplomatic events. Diplomatic relations between South Korea and Vatican City were established on December 11, 1963. Meanwhile, back in September, a statue of the first Korean priest, Father Andrew Kim Tae-kon, was installed at St. Peter's Basilica. In the Middle East, Israel's calls on Palestinian militants to surrender continue, as their soldiers say they are close to dismantling the final 2 Hamas strongholds in northern Gaza. Our Isingje has the latest.
Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Monday that Israeli troops are encircling Hamas's last 2 strongholds in northern Gaza, adding that Hamas battalions in the Jabalia and Shijaiya areas are on the verge of dismantling. The defense minister added that the Hamas fighters that have already surrendered said they are short of weapons and food. He went on to say that Israeli forces are near a breaking point in the northern Gaza Strip, calling upon remaining Hamas fighters to surrender, as he promised to spare their lives if they do so. The comments come as the Israel Defense Forces and the Israeli Security Agency announced last week that more than 500 Hamas and Islamic Jihad fighters had been captured over the past month. Gaza's health ministry reported that over 18,000 Palestinians have now been killed since the start of the armed conflict. The ministry spokesperson also reported that the bodies of 208 dead Palestinians were transferred to hospitals in the Gaza Strip during the past 24 hours, with over 400 others injured during that time. He called on medical teams around the world to go to the Gaza Strip to help with life-saving operations for the wounded Gazans, stressing that hundreds of wounded people are seeking treatment. Meanwhile, according to a report by the Washington Post on Monday, Israel used U.S.-supplied white phosphorus munitions in an October attack in southern Lebanon that injured at least 9 civilians. According to the report, a journalist working for the Post found remnants of 3 155mm artillery rounds fired into Deira, near the border of Israel. The attacks incinerated at least 4 homes. The rounds were said to have been saturated with white phosphorus that burns at high temperatures. Despite accusations of war crimes by human rights groups, the Israel Defense Forces said that white phosphorus shells launched by Israel are used to create smoke screens, not for targeting or causing fires, adding that it complies and goes beyond the requirements of international law. 이승재, Arirang News.
Also on the international front, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is in the U.S. to rally continued support from Congress for Kyiv's defense against Moscow's invasion. Our Park Gonu reports.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has arrived in Washington, D.C. on Monday in an attempt to rescue a U.S. defense support package worth $60 billion to Kyiv. The package is currently stalled in U.S. Congress as it's opposed by Republicans who are arguing that more money should be used for domestic security at the U.S.-Mexico border. Zelenskyy's appeal is seemingly even more crucial as Congress begins its holiday recess at the end of this week. According to a statement by the White House the day before, Zelenskyy's visit was meant to underscore the United States' unshakable commitment to supporting the people of Ukraine as they defend themselves against Russia's brutal invasion. The arrival of the Ukrainian president makes it his 3rd visit to the U.S. since the war began in February 2022. During Zelenskyy's speech at the National Defense University in Washington on Monday, he asked for continued support while saying Ukraine has not given up.
Ukrainians haven't given up and won't give up. We know what to do, and you can count on Ukraine, and we hope just as much to be able to count on you.
He added, when the support of freedom fighters goes down, that is when Russia's dreams come true. Following his remark, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin promised unshakable support for Kyiv.
And the United States is proud to stand with you. And make no mistake, America's commitment to supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression is unshakable.
Meanwhile, President Zelenskyy is also set to meet with U.S. President Joe Biden on Tuesday. They are expected to discuss the U.S.'s ongoing commitment to Ukraine, as well as its country's need for more funds. Park Gonu, Arirang News.
Over in the UAE, participants at COP28 are hammering out details of a draft deal to conclude this year's Global Summit on Climate Action, which, as expected, continues to fuel fierce debate. Our Ian Jin explains.
On Monday, a new draft of the COP28 agreement was published by the summit president, the United Arab Emirates. It proposed various options and called for reducing the production and consumption of fossil fuels, but the draft did not use the words phase out as seen in previous agreements. An earlier draft on Friday had included phase out, something climate campaigners, low-lying island states, and the European Union have been advocating for. But the latest draft calls for reducing the consumption and production of fossil fuels in a just, orderly, and equitable manner so as to achieve net zero by, before, or around 2050, in keeping with the science. It also provides 8 options that countries could use to cut emissions, including tripling renewable energy capacity by 2030 and scaling up technologies to capture CO2 emissions. And on the conference's final day on Tuesday, this year's president emphasized that there's still much to do and no time to waste.
We must still close many gaps. We don't have time to waste. We must deliver an outcome that respects the science and that keeps 1.5 within reach.
A new draft document is expected early on Tuesday, which would leave little time for further disagreement ahead of the scheduled close of the conference at 11 a.m. local time. Deals at UN climate summits must be passed by consensus by the nearly 200 countries present. According to Reuters, sources familiar with the discussions said the United Arab Emirates had come under pressure from Saudi Arabia to drop any mention of fossil fuels from the text. Saudi Arabia is the de facto leader of the OPEC oil producers group, of which the UAE is a member. Despite the rapid growth of renewable energy use, around 80% of the world's energy is produced using fossil fuels. 이은진, Arirang News.
In local news, preliminary registration of candidates for next April's general election has begun. Now, once registered, candidates can open a campaign office, distribute promotional materials and fundraise up to a maximum of 150 million won. The early registration offers new faces the chance to share their political agendas ahead of the official registration in March. However, the National Assembly has yet to finalize the electoral districts and rules for the election, meaning preliminary candidates are registering without specifying the districts they seek to represent. Across the border in North Korea, a delegation from Russia's Far Eastern Primorsky Krai arrived in Pyongyang on Monday. Now, this is according to the North's official newspaper, Nodongshinmun, on Tuesday. The delegation is being led by the region's governor, Oleg Kozemiako, who had previously spoken about plans to boost cooperation in tourism, trade and agriculture with North Korea. Pundits believe the two sides may also discuss the possibility of North Korean labor in Russia, which is banned under UN Security Council resolutions. The $1 exchange rate fell in December amid a trade balance surplus in Korea and a weaker greenback. According to the Bank of Korea on this Tuesday, the Korean won closed at 1,306.8 won against the dollar back on Friday, dropping from 1,350.5 won at the end of October. Pundits are linking the weaker US dollar to widespread belief that the US Federal Reserve may soon put an end to its aggressive monetary policy. On the entertainment front, all 7 BTS members are enlisted in the military as of this Tuesday afternoon here in Korea, amid hopes that the K-pop sensation will return to the stage as a group in the second half of 2025. Our An Sung-jin reports.
With RM and V joining the army on Monday, the final 2 members of BTS, Jimin and Jungkook, are set to follow them on Tuesday afternoon. All the group's members were present at the guardhouse on Monday to send off RM and V, showing the group's strong bond. BTS leader RM said it would be a great chance for growth and inspiration and thanked BTS fans for their support. V also left a message on his social media noting that he will be making more precious memories with his fans after he completes his service. Starting with Jin in December 2022, the entirety of BTS will now be serving their country. Jin will be discharged first in June 2024, but BTS fans will have to wait until at least June 2025, when the final members are discharged before they can see BTS back together again. Just like their fandom name ARMY, most of the members will be serving in the army, apart from Suga, who is serving in social services due to a shoulder cartilage injury. J-Hope, the group's main performance dancer, joined the army in April this year and will be discharged in October 2024. The 4 members, RMV, Jimin and Jungkook, who joined this week, are all set to be discharged in June 2025. And as Suga's social service duty requires him to serve 3 more months than the regular army, he will be the last member to finish his duties a few days later. As some members will begin their solo endeavors after their discharge, hopes are high that they will gather together in 2025 and reinitiate their second chapter as a group. BTS is the first group in the world to top both the Billboard Hot 100 chart and Billboard 200 chart. The group topped multiple global music charts, spoke at the UN General Assembly twice, and were on the cover of Time magazine 3 times. In South Korea, all able-bodied men are required to serve in the military for at least 18 months. The controversy on whether BTS would be able to waive their mandatory military service had persisted for a long time. Yet all of the members have voiced that they would not dodge their responsibilities. Han Sung-jin, Arirang News.
And in other news, as part of broader preparations against future pandemics, Korea has launched a global coordination office that will seek a unified, timely response to public health concerns. Our Choi Soo-young was at the office.
Over the course of the COVID pandemic, there is a growth in recognition of the need for cooperation between countries regarding global health security. To deal with these needs, the Global Health Security Coordination Office was opened on Monday in Cheongju City, Chungcheongbuk-do Province in South Korea. Commissioner Ji Young-mi of the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency said that following COVID-19, trust in Korea's health crisis response system has increased, leading to various requests for cooperation from around the world.
The post-COVID-19 era demands that we move beyond discussions and take practical actions to fortify our preparedness and response scheme. As a leading country in global health security, the Republic of Korea is delighted to announce the inauguration of GHS Coordination Office.
Due to the absence of such an office in the past, it was hard to share effective management outcomes from international conferences or policies for health security.
There was no coordination of all those outcomes of the evaluations. So with this establishment of coordination office in Korea, I think it will be really very beneficial for countries to really strengthen the capacity for health emergencies.
A total of 71 countries and 10 international organizations are participating and will hold a ministerial-level annual conference on health and medical issues. Commissioner Ji noted that Korea was part of the leading group of 16 countries, including the United States and the United Kingdom and Netherlands.
I think we are ready to play a leading role to take the shared responsibility for health emergencies. Korea is a leading country in Asia, but we can also play a role for the world.
The new office will serve as an executive secretariat, supporting exchanges of health information between countries and international organizations, providing experts in different fields and offering educational programs, among others. In the future, it will establish specific action plans in the areas of prevention, defense and response, which will include immunization, antimicrobial resistance, biosafety and legal preparedness. Additionally, the office will coordinate and evaluate each country's operations and proceedings as part of a global health security agenda. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News, Cheongju.
Let's take a look at the latest news on the world now. The Polish parliament elected the centralist party leader Donald Tusk as prime minister on Monday, giving him a mandate to form a new coalition government. This would end the 8-year rule of the conservative populist Law and Justice Party. The incoming administration, formed by Prime Minister Tusk, will be sworn in at the presidential palace by President Andrzej Duda on Wednesday. Tusk's coalition won the elections in October. The Law and Justice Party ally, President Duda, nominated that party's leader, Mateusz Morawiecki, to remain in office, delaying the formation of the new government for weeks. Tusk's coalition consists of 3 groups: his own Civic Coalition, the Third Way and the Left. Donald Tusk previously served as Poland's prime minister from 2007 to 2014 and European Council president from 2014 to 2019. In Switzerland, a gunman on Monday killed 2 people and injured 1 in the southern town of Sion. The alleged suspect has been found and arrested following an 8-hour manhunt. The suspect, a 36-year-old man, fired several shots in the Swiss alpine town of Sion, killing his first victim, 34-year-old female, in a car park, then the second, a 41-year-old man, soon after. The shooter also shot and injured a 49-year-old female. Police proceeded with roadblocks and an active manhunt, which led to the suspect's arrest on Monday afternoon. Around 2.3 million of Switzerland's 9 million population own a gun, but gun-related homicides are rare. New York State Governor Kathy Hochul announced on Monday a $10 billion partnership with semiconductor industry leaders to make New York State a semiconductor capital of the world. Semiconductor giants such as Applied Materials, IBM, Micron, Tokyo Electron, and others have joined to establish a next-generation research and development center at Albany Nanotech Complex, which will house over 50,000 square feet of clean room space. Governor Hochul also announced that New York State is investing $1 billion as part of the new enterprise and aims to create over 700 jobs. The partnership will fund the active research and development of semiconductors through the construction of a cutting-edge, high numerical aperture, extreme ultraviolet lithography center. The nominees for the 81st Golden Globe Awards were announced on Monday. Hollywood blockbuster Barbie received 9 nominations, putting it on the top of the list. Historical drama Oppenheimer followed with a total of 8 nominations. Korean-Canadian director Celine Song's Past Lives received 5 nominations, including Best Motion Picture for Drama. This year, the winners of Golden Globe Awards will be chosen by a new, more ethnically and racially diverse voting body of 300 journalists from 75 countries. The previous voting body of Hollywood Foreign Press Association was disbanded in June for ethical lapses and lack of diversity. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. This year's December has surely been an extreme one, from record-breaking spring warms to a rain advisory being issued in Gangwon-do for the first time in December and a snowstorm on the same day. Mountainous regions could see 15 centimeters of more snow fall through tonight, while the rest of the country should see rain going away as the day goes on. Also, strong winds continue in most places, with a wind advisory issued in Jeju and coastlines in Jeollanam-do and Gyeongsang-do provinces. Please stay safe. Afternoon highs are 3 to 5 degrees lower than yesterday. Seoul topping out at 9 degrees, but there has been a big drop in highs on Jeju from yesterday's 21 to today's 14 degrees Celsius. But the capital area can expect sunnier skies this afternoon. The warming trend continues through the end of the week, but rain later in the week will bring teeth-chattering temperatures to the country starting Sunday, going down to as low as minus 15 degrees next week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
And that is all the time we have for Tuesday's afternoon newscast. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session. Do stay with us. Thank you for now.